Hi folks, we're here today with this Game Boy that I picked up a couple of weeks ago in a lot from eBay, and I used it in one of my reveal look at just some of the things I pick up online. Some of you might remember that. So based off of that, some of you may remember that this little chap that we got had a issue with its screen. Something that is common, unfortunately, with DMGs as they get to a certain point in their life, is that the screen starts to develop these missing lines. So we're going to look at solving that today, or looking at one of the ways that we solve it. A sort of a common fix with these is to use a soldering iron to sort of reflow, for want of a better phrase, the area under the screen that brings the screen back to life. The other thing we're going to be doing is taking all of it to bits, give it a good clean up. Again, people that have seen the original video may remember this Game Boy used to belong to somebody called Erin, so we're going to look at different ways of perhaps just cleaning that off. We're going to clean the whole case, and we're going to look at popping a new lens on the front, a new glass screen, so it looks all nice and shiny, to be resold and sent onto to pastures new, shall we say. So, like I said, the things we're going to look at fixing that screen, giving him a clean up, popping a new lens on. So, the first thing we need to do is get it taken to bits. And to do that, I'm going to be using my trusty USB battery powered screwdriver. If I'm honest, it just saves a little bit of wear and tear on the joints. Not getting any younger. So yeah, some people prefer to use obviously manual screwdrivers. I flip between the two depending on what sort of mood I'm in, depending on how many screws I'm taking out. But generally, when I'm disassembling Game Boys, I like to use this because it just makes it a lot easier, if I'm honest. If you're doing 2, 3, 4 at a time, which I have done in the past, you know, the case has got 6, the motherboard's got around, I think, 4 for the back, and then 10 for the screen board. Quite a lot of screws. So once we've got all 6 of those out, generally, probably just got a couple one. Let's just get that one out. The thing I like about this battery powered screwdriver is it doesn't have lots of torque on. So whereas some electric screwdrivers can be really powerful, and if you don't get it quite right, it can actually end up damaging the screw, stripping the screw. This one's not too bad. There's just enough to get it out without causing too much damage to the screws. So we'll pop that off there. We'll come back to that screen a little later. First thing I'm going to have a look at is seeing if we can clean up this case. Obviously a different screw head for the screws inside. The ones on the outside of the case are the tri-wing ones. Ones on the inside are normal Phillips crosshead screwdrivers. And in fact, actually, while we've got this screw head in, let's have a look at, let's disassemble all of it, shall we? So we'll take that off. Better not lose that. Erin, we'll deal with you in a second, and we'll take off the 10 screws needed for this. Okay, so now I've got the case disassembled. Really, with a lot of these old DMGs, the glue has completely gone, and you won't find too much resistance Yeah, that just pops straight off. And we're left with traces of that sort of old glue under there. You know, you can really see the difference there where this one has started to yellow. A lot of this stuff will just come off under the power of your fingernails. And what I've sort of, in a Blue Peter style, prepared earlier, nice little bowl of warm water. Now I'm just going to pop that in there, start giving that a little bit of a soak, because we're going to give that a clean up, and we'll put that off to the side. Let's see if we can deal with these red markings. And what I'm going to use is what a lot of people tend to use for cleaning, certainly the console biz, a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, some good old IPA, and hopefully, I mean, I may be proved wrong, should fetch that off. Yeah, it's starting to lift off. I suspect it's only been done in some sort of marker. So let's see if we can get this off. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the rest of the system. Some nice sort of blue little stains on that. Nothing really too high tech here. Just a bit of warm water in a little container and a good old sponge. And let's see about getting all the crud and years of grime off the system. Tell you what, just going to put a little bit of good old kitchen towel down there. Perhaps I should have got a bigger bowl than this one. I don't know. I was just trying to maximise the space. The hours of play through these things cease. No wonder that the crud and grime gets inside these things. The finger cheese, some people call it. I can only imagine the things that this has seen, or many Game Boys like it. So even without retro brighting or using any of those sort of chemicals that are available on the market, just a bit of soap and water has actually brightened it up a little bit. Obviously it's not going to be factory white, you can see the difference from the outside to the inside, but actually for my money it's not too bad. Leave that to dry for a little bit while we take a look at the other side. Just using a nice soft pad on this. It does get the grime out without leaving any sort of like abrasive scratches or anything. Sometimes harsher things are required to get things off, but usually just a bit of soap and a little bit of patience. Give them a rinse. Okay, right, so whilst we leave the shell to dry, we're going to take a look at this screen, okay, repairing those lines on the screen. And the first thing that we need to address is this black cover, okay. So just under the screen, we've got this black rubber cover. Now sometimes, sadly like this time, you'll get lucky and sort of the glue underneath it will come off with it. Other times you're left with the glue that comes off in little bits. I managed to be really lucky there, and although the glue didn't come off with the black rubber strip, it's come off in one piece, and that's good. You need to get that piece off, because otherwise you're just going to be in a world of sticky, smelly mess. So we're going to reconnect the screen back to the board, because in order to fix it, we need to be able to see what we're doing. What I find comes in handy is jerry-rigged one of these power banks with a USB lead to a socket, which I picked up from a multi adapter, you know, the kind of DC multi adapters. Other things are available. Obviously, this is just something that I've got. I find it's a lot more portable, and it means that we can have the system on as we're working on it, and it just helps us to see what it is we're doing. So obviously, once we pop it on, we've got no cartridge in, so it will stay on that screen. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use our soldering iron. We're going to gently rub our iron along just below the screen, just where this ribbon cable sits on the frame. The two things here I find: patience and patience. This could take 5 to 10 seconds. It could take a couple of minutes. It may never take at all. But what we don't want to do is rush it and end up damaging the Game Boy. You'll notice sometimes this does turn off when it's not drawing a lot. That's why I've just turned back on and off. It's just something I'll keep an eye on. It's not the Game Boy at fault, it's the battery pack. So, I'm going to gently just rub it along, and we can see that the line at first disappeared when the contact was made, but as it warms up, those fresh contacts start to get made. And when I see the lines changing, after a few seconds, once I've had the iron on, I take the iron away and I just hold my finger down on it. Now, some people might tell me this isn't the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do. This is the thing that works for me. And I think as the soldering, sort of the sort of soldering things under the screen have warmed up, as it's cooling down and making those connections, I just use my finger to hold it in place. And we can see there's just one final line just sort of flickering in and out. So I'm just going to rub my iron back on just to warm it up again. You'll see there's sometimes the lines disappear, reappear. Just use your finger and you can rock it backwards and forwards and just make those nice connections. And we can now see that as far as we're concerned on that side, we're good. We're going to do the same on this side. Gently, I'm barely using any pressure over here. I'm just warming it up. I'm going to take it away because I don't want to leave it on too long. I don't want it to melt. I'm pushing it down with my finger. And those connections are being remade. And we've got really lucky with this one. It seems to have taken really well. We'll go full contrast just to check. It looks to me, actually, we've had a pretty sweet deal there. So I'm really happy with that. Like I say, in the past, I've had ones that have taken 4, 5 minutes, some that have never gone, some that have just refused to clear up. Now, some people say this isn't a permanent fix, that the only true way is obviously either to buy a new screen, which are pretty hard to come by nowadays, or replace it with an up-to-date IPS screen. For me, I've had good results with this, and it does seem to do the job. And nothing lasts forever, nothing's permanent, but there we are. So I'm just going to go ahead and disassemble these. You can leave it reassembled if you wish. It just makes it a little bit easier, if I'm honest, if you just disassemble it and pair the two boards back together afterwards. Don't forget to put your buttons in, as I have forgotten on many occasions, where you put your board back on, you put your million screws back in, and then you realise, oh, I forgot to put my buttons in. So make sure we get all those in. Start, select, A, B, the D-pad. And once we've got them all the right way around, make sure you get that the right way around. Again, something I've fallen victim in the past. Victim 2, getting that the right way around. The screen drops in. We can rotate the speaker ever so slightly so that it sits in nice. Feels good to me. Give it a quick check. All good. And then we can pop our screws in. And away we go. Okay, the last thing we're going to take care of with the front is, while we've still got it all in front of us, is we're going to pop on a new screen. This is a glass one that I picked up from AliExpress, a couple of quid, and it just gives it that little bit of, I think it's a nice little lease of life. Brings it back. So we just very carefully peel it off. As you can see, sometimes I'm a little bit heavy-handed. And just taking that little bit of off at the top. There's nothing we can't sort out by just bring it right round. Try really, really hard not to touch the area underneath. Drop it into place. And for now, I'm just going to leave that cover on the front because it just protects it. Give it a nice squidge all around the edge. Make sure it's seated nice. Yeah, feels good. And there we go. We've got a lovely scratch-free, smear-free front screen. Yeah. So let's look at putting the board back in the back. So we're going to put the board back in the back now. Some of you may have noticed that when I was giving this a bit of a clean, I didn't take out the battery contacts. Probably, actually, I should have done that really, because it would have made the thing that I've just done. I wouldn't have had to do it. So off camera, I've basically just taken these out using a small screwdriver just to pop down there and slide them out. So I've taken them out. Give them a good clean behind, make sure it's all dry before I pop them back in. The battery terminals on this unit were really clean, which is why I sort of forgot to take them out, because I didn't have to take them out to give them a clean, which is something that I would normally do. So I've not done that on this occasion. I've just noticed there's just a little bit of crud, a little bit of grime, just in that corner there that I've missed with the brush. So let's just give that a nice clean. That's a little bit better. So, key thing to remember when we're putting this backboard in is the power switch, slider, thingy-me-bob. Make sure that's in, because you're gonna just really hate yourself if you have to sort of take it all to bits again and pop it back in. So we've got our 4 screws for this part of the Game Boy. 2 go in there to hold the motherboard down. And 2 go down here to hold the jack plug board down. And as I said before, the thing I like about this battery powered screwdriver is there's enough torque on it to make sure that these screws go in, but once they're in, it doesn't really tend to carry on going and strip the screws. It does sort of give out, which is really helpful. So yeah, my opinion, everyone's entitled to theirs. That's just mine. Right, let's plug the screen back in. Sometimes these ribbons can be a little bit fiddly, but we've got, again, quite lucky there. This has been quite a nice straightforward run. We'll just get them lined up and squished down a little. We'll swap out the screwdriver heads, the Phillips cross one for the tri-wing. Oops, trying to screw my own fingers. And let's pop in the middle one first, just so it holds it down. There we go. Sometimes find these ones in the back compartment can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes they're going really easy. Sometimes they can take a bit of patience. It just about sounds like my screwdriver is just going to hold on long enough to get this last one in. There we go. Battery cover arm. Get him in. Let's give it some juice, and hopefully there we go. We're all good. And we can play a little bit of Tetris and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you could give us a like and a subscribe and leave your comments in the comment section, that would be a big help. Don't feel like you have to. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Laters.